And welcome back to today's training session. My name is Ryan Tompkins and I'm the training coordinator here at AccuSystems. And today's topic is going to be on the TicklerTrax product. The TicklerTrax product will actually give you the ability to track exceptions using the Excel spreadsheet templates. And so with that, we'll go ahead and get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to actually have the icon for TicklerTrax on your desktop. First thing you want to do is just double click and open it. You may actually receive a toolbar message up here that says to enable macro content. If you do get that, you'll want to make sure that you do hit enable or turn that on, because that is a functionality that you'll need to have set to an on, so that way you can go through and navigate the system. The first tab that you're going to come to is going to be your quick start guide, which is going to be right here, and this is going to give you a basic overview and each of the different steps and instructions to complete the exception tracking sheet. So that's going to give you, if you ever get lost, you'll be able to come in here and review that information and be able to see that the step-by-step instructions. Okay. The first thing you want to do is you're going to want to come into this drop list tab here. And this is really going to be where you're going to define all of the information that you want to track in here. So this top column is going to be the specific category and the items that you want to track. And then below are going to be the information that's going to pertain to that particular category. So for exception type, you have credit, loan, deposit exceptions, the different branches, your officers. As far as your exceptions, these are going to be all your individual exceptions you want to track for credit, also loan, deposits, and trust if you're going to use it in those fashions. So this is really where you're going to define all of your exceptions that you're going to want to track in the system. Okay. Really at that point, once you've defined that, you're going to come into the entry form here, and this is going to give you a listing of all of the exceptions and the customer information that you're going to actually be able to view. So you'll be able to navigate those using the navigation buttons here. So you can see it goes to 2 of 8, 3 of 8, and the information is going to change accordingly. If you need to delete an exception, you can actually scroll down here and you're going to have this delete button, so you can select that, and then that will actually delete this record out of the software and the Excel tracking sheet. Okay. The next thing that you want to do is, if you want to add a new exception to the system so that way you can track it, is all you have to do is hit add new. And you're going to see it does blank it and come to your next record, which is 8 of 8. You're going to select your exception type from the drop down. So again, this is all coming from that drop list template that you filled out. So you can select credit, loan, deposit. So in this case, I'm going to select credit. You're going to key in your customer number. So if you have that information, you can key that in. So we're going to key in your customer number, your customer name. So I'm going to type in my name. If it is a loan or deposit exception, you'll want to key in the account number, because that will fill in. Also the open date and the loan balance or the account balance. So that information is all going to come into play when that information, if it applies to a deposit or loan, you'll want to key that information in. Okay. Your account officer or your credit officer, so you'll be able to select that from the list. Your branch that it's associated with, so we'll select that, and then also regions. If you're going to use that portion, you'll be able to select that from the list as well. Okay. The bottom part of this is going to be where you actually define your exception. So in this case, your exception state, you have a couple different options. So you have missing, expired, pending, task, or covenant. So in this case, I'm going to say missing. And then the exception value, this is actually going to be driven based off of the selection that you did up in the top. So when I came up here and I selected a credit exception, it's going to know to populate these exceptions based off of that item. So if you select a loan or a deposit account, it's going to pre-fill in those from the drop-down list. Okay, so in this case, if I need a good standing, I'm going to select that. If you have a category that you want to tie to it, you can certainly do that as well. So in this case, I'm going to say it's an entity docs. If it's related to a policy exception, you can say yes or no. And then finally, the exception date. So you can actually key in the exception date here. So in this case, this is going to be the date that it's expire, or the actual exception date. So in this case, if it's an exception as of 4/25, I'm going to key in that date here. So this is going to be the next date that it's going to be due on, or the next exception date. Okay. In the exceptions state here, if I had selected the expired, that's when I'm going to key in an expiration date, and so then that will coincide with the expiring exception. Okay, and then also if it's a loan account or a deposit account, you'll be able to select that account type from here. And then finally your comments. So if you want to put in comments in here, need good standing updated, you can key that information in as well. Okay, so once I'm done with that, all I have to do is just hit submit. And now you can actually come up here to the top and you'll be able to navigate. There's the information that I keyed in, so you can see that information is there as part of the record. And so now you can actually review all of the content. So if I come over here to my dashboard panel, this is going to show you a nice little feature where you can see all of the different exceptions based off of branch, officer, by the type, also the count of exceptions. And if I navigate over here, you can see I did assign that to Nancy, and so you can see here's my new exception for certificate of good standing for the customer named Ryan Tompkins. So you'll be able to see that information here as well. Okay. You do also have the ability to get into the pivot report information. So this is really just going to be a reporting aspect. So if you want to see all the content, you'll be able to see that information here. It does also show you the days past due. So in this case, because I put in the 425, it's going to show as the 1 day past due. Okay. You do also have the ability to select whether you want to see loan deposit or credit exceptions just by using the filter here. And then you do also have the refresh button. The exception data, this is just the content. So when you key in the information into the entry form, it's going to show up in this exception data. So you'll be able to see this information here. And so that will be available for you to display. Okay. Once again, if you have any questions, feel free to check out the Quick Start Guide or click on the free help guide. And we look forward to talking with you soon.